Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of WODtv. We're very excited to be kicking off our new viewer mail series today, where we're taking questions from you guys at our Gmail address down here, as well as on our Twitter account at WeAreWODtv. So the first question of the series comes from Craig Herbert. He says, hi, I thought you guys might give this theory a test. Spealler did the 50s workout at the 2014 regionals using Tabata intervals. I've also seen Kalipa redo a workout using Tabata intervals and get a better score. So does using Tabata really help? I'm sure there are scenarios where it would not work, but it seemed to work for the two examples I saw. Why wouldn't more people use this pacing method? Thanks for the question, Craig. So to begin to answer Craig's question, Cam's going to go over what exactly Tabata is and some of the physiology behind it.
All right, so Dr. Izumi Tabata is a Japanese researcher looking at the effects of short interval workouts on anaerobic power and aerobic power. And he actually came upon this 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off protocol, 6 to 8 repetitions, and found that it was actually really efficient at developing both anaerobic and aerobic power. In CrossFit, we kind of taken that out and we tried to apply it to a number of different scenarios that it may or may not work well with. The original protocol was meant to be a very fatiguing protocol, so it's not meant to be a sustainable effort work to rest ratio. So we're going to discuss a little bit why that can play into this whole strategy thing and why it may or may not work.
That's right. So one pro of sort of morphing the Tabata into a sustainable sort of long workout strategy is that it sort of gives you kind of some certainty in an otherwise sort of crazy workout where you've got tons of different stations and movements and a long time. It gives you something to sort of hold on to and stick to and just sort of fall into this rhythm. So psychologically, it can be a benefit for people in terms of pacing.
Yeah, it kind of gives it, like you said, that little rock you can hang on to, you know, in the torrent of craziness of the workout. Also, for those individuals who have a tendency to kind of go a little bit too fast out of the gates,
Fly and die,
it can actually kind of prevent you from going to red line too early by saying, you know, we're going to have a set rest every 20 seconds. So that could actually prevent people, especially in longer workouts, from getting too deep into their basically metabolic soup before they kind of crush themselves there. So it can actually hold people back in the start of the workout, and that could actually pay off in the long run.
So psychologically it could help, metabolically it could help, as well as sort of technically. Working at a really high output, your form is definitely going to degrade, you know, after a couple minutes. So if you just insert those little 10-second rests, that can sort of just give you a second to shake things off, reset your body position, and fall back into a faster, more efficient cycle time for your movements. So that could mean that the work that you are doing is faster, more effective work.
There are potential upsides to using this strategy, but there are also potential downsides, and we're going to discuss those now. And you know, I guess the overarching kind of comment we can make is that no one strategy is going to fit all athletes' WODs and circumstances.
That's right.
So we want to discuss that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a time domain, you can look at a short workout versus a long workout. A strategy may or may not apply. In terms of your training, you're going to use Tabata for very short workouts. In terms of competition workouts that are usually a bit longer, it would purely be a pacing strategy. But then you have to sort of consider the types of movements you're doing. The example sort of Craig mentioned with Chris Spealler doing Tabata through the 50s workout. Well, that included ring dips, and I'd say Chris Spealler is probably the only guy in CrossFit who can actually do Tabata ring dips. Most people with these movements, when we do Tabata workouts in CrossFit, like pull-ups and ring dips and other things that have such a reliance on local muscular endurance, you just burn out and fry out, and the Tabata loses all purpose. So we got to be careful what movements we're applying the strategy to. And then, in terms of what type of athlete you are, can you maybe highlight that?
Yeah, for sure. So each athlete has a different makeup. Some are strong and fast, and some are less strong and have more endurance. So it doesn't really make sense for an athlete who has, say, a really defined ability, say in wall balls or something like that, to break up their wall balls if that's an opportunity for them to move forward in the workout. So applying this 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off strategy just kind of across the board for all movements, all scenarios, really won't tap into those individual differences that can really put us ahead in a workout if we choose to do so.
That's right, because psychologically, depending what type of athlete you are, if you start out with Tabata right off the bat, you're probably going to fall behind right off the bat.
Right.
And if you know that you're going to have that energy to catch up later, that's okay, but that might just take you down seeing everyone pass you in the first round.
Yeah, and that, depending on the type of person, if you're super confident that you're going to make up that time, then by all means. So it seems like an interesting theory to utilize this interval pacing strategy, but like we said, it's probably not going to work in all scenarios. If an athlete's doing a workout again,
as per Jason Kalipa supposedly improving his time with Tabata, it might just be that, well, it's because he's doing the workout again, regardless of the strategy. That second exposure to it, he's just got more familiarity and is able to push harder on whatever movements he's doing. So at the end of the day, if you do use Tabata in a competition setting, you're going to be spending a third of your time resting, and depending on what competition you're in, that could be a total deal breaker. So I think in conclusion, maybe we'll recommend that using a Tabata in a CrossFit competition, probably not the best strategy for most athletes, but it's a very effective training protocol, and if you apply it effectively in your workouts, you won't need to rest during competition.
Yeah, for sure. And so thank you for your question, Craig. Definitely made us kind of think about the pros and cons of how this may or may not work, and the best thing for you guys to do is to try and see what works for you. But
let us know how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll see about that.
Yeah, thanks again, and we look forward to all the rest of you sending in your questions.